Road Gang Radio. We've talked about making a living. Now let's get a life. It's Jimmy Mack and Lindsay Lawler with the best stories, the ultimate road trip, the concert of a lifetime, and a home when you're not at home.
It's getting old, guys. It's getting old.
The wheels have come off, but we're still rolling.
Oh, yeah.
Well, good morning.
The wrong side of the bed, huh?
Good way to start.
Guys, Claire's giggle helps me be in a better mood, quite frankly, and seeing y'all's faces puts me in a better mood. But let me tell you, I woke up on the wrong side of the Krabby McCrabberson bed today. And add to it was 40 degrees when we woke up, and I slept with my window open, which is awesome. But I don't care if you were the bus driver this morning, the parents, my child, my house guest currently, my husband, a leaf. If you looked at me, I was ready to kill you this morning. So I'm taking a turn. I'm turning a new leaf. Woo, but it just happened. And you know what, Jim? I let myself have it. I was like, you know what? I usually wake up in a better mood than this. I'm letting myself have it. I threw a donut at my kid and said, good luck with your life. And that's what happened. That's what's happening over here. Normally, I'm an eggs and fruit mom, kisses and stickers. This morning, I was like, here's a donut and leave me alone. And I owned it. Good morning.
Good morning. By the way, I think we're making a habit of this because when I opened up the show this morning and the show the other morning, I came out and said, some people just want to punch in the face.
Yeah.
I said, you just want to give them a good smackerino right in the old snot locker.
Yeah.
And just say, hey, man, I'll put you in a hurt locker, slap the pain combination, and then open up a can of whoop ass on you. Although I probably should open up the can of whoop ass before I put him in the hurt locker and the pain combination. I got the order wrong, but you got the idea right.
I get the idea. There's some punching going on. Just mentally. Listen, we don't condone violence around here.
I do.
It's just mental punching.
No, I condone violence.
Well, you're New Orleans Irishman.
Yeah,
I mean,
I condone violence. The last time I ever got in a bar fight, though, the last thing I heard was, Fitzmaurice, you and your brother never come back here. We were there the next night, but we were told never to come back. It was a great moment. It was a great moment.
Never come back until you do.
Yeah, my brother basically used an old Flip Wilson joke on a guy from the Navy started a fight with him because he was a Marine, and my brother tried to calm the fight down and said, let's all just calm down, I'll buy you a drink. And then he pointed at the guy's girlfriend and he said, I'll get a banana for your monkey. And then all hell broke loose. Good times.
Banana for your monkey. Yeah, and it got worse actually for me at the bus stop because my group at the bus stop is wonderful, but they were talking about these other moms and parents who were being like overachievers as it pertains to Halloween. I'm so curious what you and Claire would be like if you did have a kid. I know you do not, nor will you have children, but if y'all did have a kid, since y'all are so into Halloween, what it would be like. Because for me, it's like, oh great, here it comes. It's a lot of work. Getting the costumes and the trick-or-treating and the parties and the blah, 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 blah. So I'd be so curious what you guys would be like. But there's certain moms that are like, did you sew your costume? I'm like, I'm going to sew your face. No, I didn't sew my kid's costume.
Oh, my God.
What?
Did you sew?
Sorry, I'm getting out of the surliness, I promise. I'm getting it out before our next guest because I'm actually very excited about our next guest.
Yeah, the thing is, I'll tell you this right now, Lindsay. If somebody sews a costume for Halloween and that's their thing, meaning that's the one thing every year they do, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
I don't. What I have a problem with is it's always the people that sew their costume for Halloween are also the people who make red, white, and blue cupcakes. You know what I'm saying here? I mean, it's always the people who are like, everything is an arms race.
Get a life.
Everything is
like Road Gang Radio. Get a life.
Get a life. It's like, well, it's also about like, reminding you that you have a life and that you're busy as all hell. And it's like, I'm Fupa Mom. Okay, we get it.
Great.
Here's your medal.
Sorry.
See, look, I got the best of both worlds. My girlfriend does the Halloween costumes. Oh, I'll fix that.
Yeah.
I got the Halloween costumes every year. She fixes them, does them. Excellent job. But then at the same time, she's like, all right, here's Rouse's cupcakes.
Yeah. Balance. Hashtag balance.
Exactly. But
I'm fine with that.
She's the hipster busy mom. You know what I mean?
I like a hipster busy mom. I'm not a regular mom. I'm a cool mom.
I kind of wonder sometimes.
I'm saying that about myself. I'm quoting Mean Girls, just to be clear.
If there's an AI program, by the way, if there is an AI program where you can actually go about the business of like, how do I be a complete like helicopter mom? Like, give me a list of all the things I could do to be a helicopter mom. And you could just kind of program it in, and it could give you a list of all the things you could do.
Go to one of the private schools down the road and follow those moms around. It is a good point, though, because I do want to talk to our next guest about that is something that is interesting to me, how we use AI. We are talking about AI, and our next guest coming up here, David Eliot, has a new book out called Artificially Intelligent, the very human story of AI. And I'm very excited. I don't know what side. I know some of your opinions on AI, Jim, but I'm taking a very positive approach with this. But I want to know, talking about AI as we look at it in the different aspects of our life, not just as a whole or as a collective, but how we approach it. Like, I want to use AI in my personal life for this, as a mom for this, in work for this, how we kind of integrate it into all the different aspects of our life and use it to the best of our ability. And let's be honest, if you're not using it yet, you're already too far behind. So it's going to be an interesting conversation.
I also think, by the way, if you're going to ask me, is there anything positive that can be gleaned from it? For me, I mean, we've talked about this at length with Julian as well. One of the things is I do think it is one of the great panaceas for executive dysfunction. I will tell you that I do know people who, don't need much more than just a game plan or a blueprint. I've seen a lot of those people use it extraordinarily well. But by the way, that's only the tip of the iceberg. Would you care for me to do the introduction here, Lindsay? Or,
I'll do it. Whenever we get him, I'll do it.
Okay, you'll take care of it.
But let's see, because that's the thing. I did, like, in the very beginning when I was using, say, ChatGPT. I was using it maybe too much, but I was using it more on a personal, I was deep diving with it. I don't anymore. I use AI, or in particular my ChatGPT. But by the way, anybody who says they don't use AI, hey Siri, what's the weather? That's AI. Google anything, that's AI. Like the internet, that's AI.
Yeah.
That's not your intelligence. That's so anything you're doing, your smart TV, GPS in your car, you use AI. Everybody uses AI. Unless you live out in the woods and don't, come out from under your rock.
Yeah, I mean, and by the way, we're just talking algorithms here anyway. And that's what we're talking at the end of the day. We're just talking about collating information and then reassembling it in a way that actually kind of responds to the prompt. I think I kind of explained it pretty good right there, didn't I? You're collating information and then seeing how it responds to the prompt, and then either taking what it gives you and kind of going with it or not. One of the things I do like about AI, and this is where AI can be really helpful in regards to research, is that it does point you at the beginnings of articles, pointing at the beginning of articles or information that you need to get you to actually primary and real sources. And that's a groovy thing. That's a groovy thing that I really do think is cool.
But I do like you mentioned the word roadmap. I do like, as far like I use it now as it's my info. Like, say with ChatGPT, I'll give it. I will do all my own intake and research and study, and then I will spew it all in here. Like, here's everything I know, I've learned, I want to talk about, I need to do in my day, depending on how I'm using it. And then I'm like, just now just categorize it for me so I know how to attack it. Like, I would never want it speaking for me. I saw a few things where it tried to speak for me, and I realized really quickly that's not my voice.
That's not my voice.
It can get to know you well, but it cannot write or speak for you, ever. It would not be you.
No, it would not. And by the way, let me kind of break this down, guys. We'll be talking to David Eliot here in just a minute. We're getting him all set up and ready to talk to us. After that, we got a great interview with Dustin Nickerson that we did. He actually went by.
Yeah, he's coming in studio today.
Yeah, Lindsay got him to come to the studio, so we'll be talking to him. And then Jeremy Dauber, who we lost on Friday because of our Gremlins from the Kremlin, is actually going to be joining us again, coming back to talk about Press One.
This is a fun show.
It really is. It's a great lineup, and I can't wait to dig into it. By the way, if you haven't heard Dustin Nickerson's comic stand-up, it's clean in regards to it's family friendly, but it is really funny and really insightful about the day-to-days of what it means to be a parent, what it means to be a loving husband, what it means to be a long-suffering husband, what it means to be a pain in the ass of a husband. It's really terrific stuff. And
what it means to be a Mariners fan, I saw him post last night. He said, Seattle, when I made my tour schedule, I never thought that I'd be in competition with the Mariners World Series. And I was right. Buy your tickets. Come out tonight. So he was like, wah, wah.
Oh, it was
All right, we got
heartbreaking.
our next guest. Let's dive into AI because I am so excited about this conversation, guys. Joining us next, someone we've already alluded to. We've been giving you the little pregame on it, but I'm excited to talk to David Eliot today, not because of what he knows so much. I mean, that of course as well, but because of how he sees the world. This is what I'm excited about. David Eliot, he's the author of a new book called Artificially Intelligent, The Very Human Story of AI. I love this title. Yes, we're talking about artificial intelligence, but this isn't some robot apocalypse story or, this tech manifesto here. David is a researcher. He's a deep thinker. He's a storyteller. And he puts people at the center of the conversation. This is why it's cool. We're taking our power back, people, as it pertains to AI. That's how I feel, at least. David is a PhD candidate at the University of Ottawa. He's won major awards like the Pierre Elliott Trudeau Foundation PhD Scholarship, and his work focuses on how AI is already woven into everything, from how we learn to how we date, how we create art, how we work. So what I love most about the book, guys, and this conversation we're about to have isn't about fear. It's about, here's the word, Jim, possibility. It's all possible. And for those of us who write or create or drive or dream or want to do anything with your life, this is a really great moment to ask, how do we want to show up in the story of AI? That's what I'm excited to talk to David today about. So please make welcome to the show our new friend. Let's get AI. Let's get intelligent. Welcome, David Eliot. Good morning.
Thank you so much for such a fabulous introduction there.
Well, I'm so excited, like literally jonesing to talk to you about this. So welcome. I'm very glad you're here.
Oh, well, I'm excited to talk to you about it too. Like, this is what gets me up in the morning, is talking to people excited about these topics.
One of the marvelous things about the book is, okay, first of all, let our listeners know, if you actually want a good, brief, but actually, well-written history of how we get to this point, David includes that inside the book. There's the opening section is just terrific in regards to kind of laying out the terminology, the major players in it, how it actually really begins with algorithms. It goes back to the beginning and then moves forward. But the thing that I was most happy about is it's kind of wonderful to have a voice of moderation, and I mean this on both sides. This book isn't a utopian fantasy, and at the same time, you're not Jeremiah. You're not prophesizing doom coming at us. It becomes something that is not merely, but the most important part from what I kind of took from the book is it is another step, and how we react to this next step. The very human factor of reacting to this step is going to determine where we go from here. Is that fair?
Yeah, 100%. And I think one of the reasons I wrote this book was I noticed that most of what was coming out was taking either that, utopic, everything's going to be perfect side, or, the doom and gloom. And I think these reactionary principles or ideas, they sell books, they get clicks on the internet. It's much easier to sell that. But I feel like what people really needed to hear was a more sobering and pragmatic approach to what we're dealing with, because I think people read nonfiction books, people look for this information so they can figure out how they should live their lives, and I don't think we're doing anybody any service by sensationalizing it.
Well, and because David, if you don't know or not, we have a vast majority of our audiences are over-the-road truck drivers, and these are a lot of people that, dare I say, are set in their ways. And I mean that lovingly. So there has been there's obviously been pushback. But if we could go back a little bit here for our audience, because your book isn't just about technology, it's really about humans, and I feel like and our own power here. So that's where I'd like to start. You write that AI is already deeply embedded in our lives. And that struck me because people still want to talk about AI like it's something of the future, but it is here now. So could you start talking about start here, some of the most maybe invisible ways that AI is shaping our lives today that people don't even realize?
Yeah, 100%. So really the type of AI that we have now started being used around 2012. And it's integrated into a lot of smaller systems we use. So I always say to my friends, I'm quite a bit younger, I say Snapchat was probably the first time you used AI. Because those filters that get put on your face, those are AI. And there's lots of just smaller ways they're integrated into systems. So as we see now more and more computing systems, more and more the way we interact with computers is in a sense, mediated by AI. There's AI involved in it. We're seeing it used more in medical health care. We're seeing it used more in even just, the mapping software for how you get from point A to point B, or scheduling software. It's just becoming a basic part of a lot of the technical systems that we use and a lot of the ways we interact with the world. And I'll just say I'm really happy to hear that a lot of your listeners are long-haul truck drivers, because that's the group I wrote this book for, because I really want people to understand how AI is affecting their lives, so they can ask questions about it, because I understand why people are upset. And as you know from the book, I look at this book as a call to action for people to understand how AI is affecting their life, learn the terminology so, they can demand what they want to see, because it is changing things. And every time we integrate it a bit more in a different place in our life that we don't notice it, it changes something. So I want to give people the power to, ask for the change they want to see.
One of the things that's really, and you do this anecdotally throughout the book, is that one of the other great kind of themes that run through the book is we just don't know. And you don't hit people over the head with that, but the idea that we don't know where this is going to lead us. And just to kind of give an example, there's a moment where you kind of explain the history of Pixar, which doesn't start off having anything to do with animation. The idea that Up would spring from what Pixar originally was is inconceivable to the people who sat down for the first meetings that kind of created at Lucasfilm Pixar. And one of the points you make in the book throughout is the idea that people are often playing with one thing and end up with something else. So there's an overall theme of don't get too panicked about what people telling you AI is going to be. We don't even know what it's going to be yet to some degree. We don't know what surprises it has in store for us. So you can't prepare for a utopian or doomsday scenario if you don't know. You can't predict what this is going to turn into. Correct?
Oh, yeah, 100%. And people are always trying to sell you on their vision of it because it benefits them to say they know where it's going. But I always say if anybody tells you they know where this is going, they're either lying to you or trying to tell you something or sell you something. But I think what you're saying is so true there with we don't know where it's going. And I love this as an example of when we get technologies like AI, we call them general purpose technologies, the way they tend to be integrated into our lives is that they're first used to automate things we're already doing. So you look at like ChatGPT and how they're using that in, communications to write, briefs or documents, and they're using it to automate artists and, all the problems with that. But that's just the first wave. The second wave is when we start using it in ways we haven't even thought of yet. When it starts being integrated into processes and you have inventors and innovators come in and say, whoa, this has opened the door for a totally new type of technology or a totally new idea that wasn't possible for what we had before. So the first phase is the scariest, which is automation. The exciting part, what I think we're going to be heading into now, is kind of that innovation phase, and that really takes a human at the core.
Ooh, I just got real excited. I got chills because if I can get a little deep here for a second. Jimmy, is that all right?
You get deep for 1 second. You got it.
Just one. Okay,
Just
he'll
one.
give me one. Perfect. Because as the automation, I'll tell you, David, I'm a songwriter. I live in Nashville. Obviously, there are big discussions going on here around all of this. But as a songwriter, just a writer in general, I like to talk a lot about like co-creation, writing with the universe or with our intuition or with technology. And for me, AI has become less of a tool and more of like a creative partner. I guess I'll say it's helped me tap into something sort of beyond myself. So I'm curious to your take if you think there's a I don't know, spiritual or even a philosophical element to how we interact with AI. Like, do you think AI can help us know ourselves even better? Is that too deep to say?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question, and I'll take it in kind of two directions here. One, I think there's a possibility for that. I do get worried, though. Right now, we're seeing a lot of issues with people using ChatGPT and AI as a therapist and trying to use it in that sense, and it actually leading to very dangerous outcomes in some cases.
Yep.
However, I think on a more artistic side, as you're saying, AI is a tool. And like any tool, the guitar is a tool, right? Mm-hmm. And when we play guitar and when you play music, that tool can help you understand yourself better. It can help you unlock new pathways and new ways of knowing. I think for myself, I'm extremely dyslexic. I couldn't write or read for a very long time in my life. And being given a computer gave me that ability, the same way that, AI might help someone be a songwriter and help them unlock those things. The computer and the ability to write because of that gave me the ability to express myself. So I think that's true, but I don't think that's necessarily, a feature of AI itself. However, as an artist, I'm really interested in, because I was an artist before I worked in academia, but
Oh, wow.
I'm really interested in the effects AI is having on art. And of course, it's really scary. There's lots of conversations we need to have about people's data being used to automate them. Those are problems. But one thing I really think is I like the way you look at it here, of using it to help you with your craft. Because I usually point to a technology that scared the bejesus out of artists a long time ago, and that was the paint tube. When the paint tube, that tube that we buy our paint in now, came out in the 1800s, it terrified painters, because back then they had to mix their own paints. It was a whole skill on its own. It took a really long time to become a painter because you needed so much training, and you had to paint in a studio where you were making your paints. They couldn't go outside. And when the paint tube was invented, they said, this is going to ruin painting. This is going to be the worst thing that happens, because now people won't have the connection with paint. They won't understand it. They won't be real artists, and it's going to lead to a lot of terrible amateur art. And you know what? They were right. It led to a lot of terrible amateur art, like my paintings I'm looking at in my apartment right now. However, it also led to Van Gogh. It also led to Monet, because the Impressionist movement, the most famous artists of our time, were not possible without the paint tube. They were poor, and it gave them the ability to buy paint and try it out. It also gave them the new freedom to take paint into the field and start creating paintings in the field. That's where we get Van Gogh's Starry Night from, that he could take these vibrant colors out there. So I always say, when we think of, AI as a tool for art, we need to think of the goal of not to create more art, but to create more artists. And I think AI can give us that possibility.
I like that, because can I just follow up real quick, Jim, to say just a quick thought, because I would never use AI to write my song for me, or even to help me write a song, anything like that. For me, I just like to say too, and I think a lot of people, we get sort of debilitated about the starting piece, the jumping off piece.
Executive dysfunction.
Executive dysfunction. Exactly. With creatives or anybody wanting to try something new, even a hobby, I think we get it's like to the starting piece, and we have so much clutter in our brain that it's like, I can't do that thing because I've got to organize all these 10 things. So I just want to say to anyone listening, if you can use it to help you sort of get organized, so that you do have the space and the clarity to do those things you want to do. I'm like, get it out, get my grocery list out of my mind, get all the crap out of my mind for me, so now I can function, get all this other stuff organized, or even like have it help me sort of organize my day, so that there is a window in there for creativity and for functionality. So I just want to say in that piece, because it can be a really good sort of assistant to you to get you organized, so that you yourself, the human, can go do the thing you want to do. So I just want to make that point.
Yeah, I could not agree more with that. It has been so great at, helping me free up more time for the things that I love to do. So I really agree with you on that point.
Yeah, and that brings up the other possibility that you both actually have just talked about, which is it is a great tool for a suffering neurodivergent. The idea that, it's so funny, because I think about the number of people who, had Adderall or Vyvanse been discovered in the 70s or 80s, would not have been literally put in the special class. And in the same way, you could make a case that this tool, rather than the deep frustration of procrastination, because a lot of people have a hell of a time getting started, kind of kickstarting the situation, have a hard time kind of doing the first steps of grinding out a game plan, or at least balancing their time properly. There are models of this that actually allow that to happen as an organizer. The idea that it's like everybody can afford a personal assistant. Everybody can afford those things. Mm-hmm. And you go back to the idea of people being poor, but suddenly having access to the tube and being able to go outside and paint. In the same way, people who never had anybody that would organize their day can be like, okay, here are all the things I have to do. Just put this out on a sheet of paper for me so I can make my appointments. That's a game changer for a lot of people. That frees up the artist. That gives an artist the time that he or she needs, right?
It is a massive game changer, But I think it also brings up this really interesting point I'm trying to make with the book, that right now we're talking about very individualistic choices that we have to make about how to use AI. And even in this conversation, we're seeing, how it can go towards the good if we make the right choices on how we use it. And what I'm looking at the book is taking that on a societal scale and saying that AI is the same thing with society. The same way that you have to make these choices about how you use it, we as a society need to make the similar choices about how we implement it, how we regulate it, where we put it. And that's going to decide whether you're the, as we're talking about using it to free up more time to do these creative things, or are we going to use it to write the songs as a society, to do these other things? And just as individuals need to make those choices for themselves, I think we need to be aware that we're making those choices as a society. And I'm really trying to get people to join that bigger conversation outside of the individualistic choices in their own lives.
We're talking with David Eliot. You can head over to davideliot.org. That's pretty cool. You got that website, by the way. davideliot.org.
Yeah, 1L, 1T.
1L, 1T. David Eliot, 1L, 1T. Did you change your name? Did you change the spelling of your name? Or is that how you were born?
No, that's my family name, and I've been spelling it my entire life like that.
Okay. David Eliot, you can go to davideliot.org. His new book, Artificially Intelligent, The Very Human Side of AI. David, would you mind if we have to take a break here in a minute, just staying over a couple more minutes, because a couple more questions Jim and I would like for you. Are you able to give us a few more minutes?
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to do that.
Amazing. Okay, we like to ask you on air, so if you say no, then you look bad, not us. No, just kidding. Yeah, because when we come back on the other side of the break, what I'd really love to talk about, David, I love that your book keeps coming back to the idea that we all have a role to play, that it's not just those tech giants up there in Silicon Valley making the decisions, that, everyday people like our truckers, our parents, small business owners, that, I want to talk about, how what everybody should know to feel empowered in this AI revolution, if that makes sense. We're talking with David Eliot here. Yeah, perfect. He's staying because we told him he has to. Yay, David Eliot. davideliot.org. Artificially Intelligent. We'll be right back. It's Road Gang Radio.